Hello people, Happy New Year. I'm Jonathan Diamond and it's January 2023 and it's been 12 months since my initial straight out of the box review of this, the Yamaha TRB JP2 six-string electric bass guitar. So I thought I'd do a 1-year anniversary follow-up now that it's been a year out of lockdowns here in Melbourne, and so I've been out and about, lots of performances, thrills and spills, got a few scratches, and I could probably say similar things about the bass itself. Firstly, you'll notice some customizations. I'm wearing the Groove Gear, that's G-R-U-V, Gear Duo strap, so you can Google search that if you're interested. I noticed John Patitucci himself wearing the strap, and I was delighted to see that also Damien Erskine endorsed this design of a strap, which, like the name, has two straps, one for each shoulder, which Damien will demonstrate. It's a little bit more complex than it seems. I tried various options with this, not this is a strap review, and not that this bass is particularly imbalanced, but I thought I'd go for it since I saw Patitucci demonstrating it so well. And I do like the strap, and with the strap I also customized the way that the strap attached. After initially using the sort of back harness system, something that sort of used the leather strap locks and this strap that goes around the back to tension and attach the middle strap onto, I got rid of all of that because I prefer strap locks. Leather loosens over time and you don't want this thing falling off your back. So I went with the Dunlop flush mount strap locks, not only on the ends but also on the back behind here. I got my luthier to drill a hole and a new bass. He did remark what I was feeling, which this just feels wrong. But anyway, it's in there now, and it's pretty much in the right position, so take care if you're doing that. Live with it for 6 or 7 months, as I did, because I had my luthier do that in July last year, 7 months in. So those are customizations, and I guess a kind of customization also is I got the gig bag, which is the mono, what's it called, Vertigo, which just about fits the monstrous bass that this is. We'll talk about the headstock size in a little bit of time, but that gig bag does work and keeps it nice and tight, which you probably want in a gig bag. So what else has happened? New strings, and new setup. So we'll talk about that in a moment too. The first thing that happened in the first 6 weeks, I would say, is I got black fingers. My tips became black, and now I don't work in a coal mine or smoke 3 packets a day. I do drink a lot of green tea though, but that's got nothing to do with it. So this was not coating of the strings, of course. These stainless steel strings don't do that. This was from the ebony fingerboard, and it's a quality ebony, and I read some reviews about lower quality ebony having a dye treatment to make it look blacker that then sort of comes off over time. Well, after 6 weeks I removed the strings and cleaned the fingerboard with lemon oil and polished that off with a dry cloth, and gone is the problem. So I think it probably would have gone away eventually anyway with all the playing I do, but I removed it that way. So that was the first thing. Next thing to happen, about 6 months in, I was teaching a lesson and then I suddenly got rapid onset distortion and then no sound. And of course the battery died. So the battery has about 6 months of life. I could review the fact that the battery during my lesson time was easily removed from the socket, from the panel in the back, and a new one plugged in. And within a minute, I was good to go again. So about 6 months on a 9-volt system. My Warwick, which I sort of co-reviewed last time, gets almost double that with lithium cells, but that's an 18-volt system. About 2 months in also, I had to tighten the socket, the input socket. It's just like a hex nut. If you get a wrench and carefully do it, you won't scratch the instrument. And that's the kind of thing that you expect probably from a new vehicle as much as a new bass. Anything with moving parts and whatnot, you have to do these little kinds of things. So, come July 2022, we're talking like 7 months in now, a good 7 months, I took it to the luthier. They did the strap locking business and adjusted the action. Now the neck needed a slight adjustment, but my luthier reported that the double truss rod system, which is accessed via those 2 holes there, very easily done and very responsive, and that was a not unexpected tweak. I put new strings on and he lowered the action. Now the action that the bass came with was quite like a trampoline. So there I was working really quite hard for 7 months, getting used to a massive action, and I actually built up significant finger strength. And not my fingers are weak. I've been playing for decades. And then when I went back to my Warwick with the lower tension and the lower action, I actually broke a string, which is kind of rare for me, and an achievement. Anyway, so the action ended up becoming much lower, and then we kind of compromised on something middle ground. So it's lower than what it's shipped with, and so I can say it doesn't necessarily have to be that trampoline style, which probably suits Patitucci and people that play double bass and have large hands. But I've got small hands, but only my hands are small. Joking. They're middle sound. They're medium. So the double truss rod and the new strings. Okay, the string saga. So on the website for Yamaha, it says that this bass takes D'Addario EXL 176 SL strings. So that the super long 32 or 130 gauges. Those are discontinued. So the manufacturer recommended strings don't exist anymore. So after speaking to Yamaha and shopping around a little bit, I ended up with these, which are very close to the same spec. So they're these New York extra long 32 to 130s. They fit the bass fine. They're nickel plated steel, so similar kind of robust sound, with punch and good for all sorts of things, harmonics, and we'll see on the longevity. But obviously it's been about 6 months now me playing the same set of strings, and even harmonics are crystal clear. So that was the setup and strap lock kind of shenanigans around July. Lastly, I just want to talk about my sort of dislikes and likes after living with the instrument now for a bit over a year. I'm used to a bridge like the Warwicks, where I can change strings without passing them through the whole of the instrument. So when I first took off the strings, of course, I was faced with the need to pull them through the typical hole that you find at the end of this wonderful bridge, by the way. It's fantastic in all respects. But I don't like that so much. And not just the speed, but it's also the risk there of scratching the instrument from the passing through of the string through the hole, especially if it's got a string that's got a bent end at the end. So you might say, well, just take care of it, do it properly, or cut the string halfway through if you don't want the strings again. There are ways around this. But anyway, that's something. Probably the biggest dislike of all is also down at the bottom end here. I'll stand up. These grub screws on the saddles of the bridge are razor sharp. Now you're thinking, well, I'm exaggerating. No, but I could probably actually slice tomatoes with my bridge, or maybe even my finger. It's lucky I got the red rather than the amber color, because if I bled on my instrument, it'd be less obvious. But I think I truly could. And you know, be careful wearing your best sweater, because you can easily pick it up on those grub screws, which I imagine have probably just been cut without being kind of beveled around the edge. I don't know what the term is. I'm not a grub screw manufacturer, but they're sharp, and I'm not used to that. So I don't know what the workaround there is. Maybe speak to your luthier, or get out a file. That's a big dislike of mine, because I generally don't like to bleed while playing. The third thing is the gloss on the instrument. Of course, this is a high gloss finish. It's beautiful. You know, you put it in the light and you'll see finger marks. And I cleaned it this morning as well, just for you. And so I'm trying to get some sun reflection here. And so you can see that beautiful reflection. But then if you look closer, you can not only see, you know, the oil from your hands, but you can also see scratches. So be careful with the back if you're wearing a belt, because you can get scratches quite easily in this area. So it's going to happen. It's life, you know, but you could probably minimize that by just taking a little bit more care with the kind of belt you wear, whether you've got your shirt over the top of the belt, generally how you treat the instrument. It's going to pick up some scratches that will become more obvious with this kind of finish. Then from the bottom end to the top end, this headstock is massive. Now you might say, well, the whole instrument is kind of pretty close to deforestation. It's a lot of wood here, but I reckon if they'd tailored this off just a little bit more, then I probably wouldn't have a hole in my plasterboard wall in my bedroom next door. Seriously, I got up and sort of turned around, not knowing the amount of real estate I required in my bedroom. And out comes the spack filler. The base is fine, by the way. So that didn't, you know, I just wiped off the white plaster residue. It's a large headstock, so it's sticks out there quite some distance, more than I'm used to. And not only that, but fitting into cases, but also stands, and like the wall stand you see in the back there that my Fender's being held up by. There it is. It's been throttled by the neck. Difficult. It's kind of borderline not going to fit. So that's one little... I'm being very picky because that's all the things I can be picky about, apart from the bleeding bit. Let's talk about the likes then. I mean, these are far surpass the dislikes because, you know, this instrument, despite the gloss, or maybe that's part of it, is a stunning piece of work. And that, you know, the 4-ply laminate is quite a glorious sight. You know, the figured maple sandwich, because there's figured maple on the outsides there, but also ash and alder in between, is really well done. I love the bolt-on neck. That's been fantastic for my sound. A lot of attack, and of course there's 6 serious bolts there as well. So I love that part. I love the aesthetics. I think the amber looks glorious as well. Chose the red because, you know, it's midlife crisis time, so I might as well have red, right? But they're both good. And the sound, you know, the sound has an attack, a sustain. The low B has such tightness and such sustain. Yeah, it's a really great thing to play and listen to. It does give your music that reward, and the effort that you put into this instrument, being a large instrument, you know, high tension. If you've got the higher action as well, the scale length of the thing, it's all part of that package of, well, that's awesomeness, and that's what you need. B's just about to die off there. So it's got that resonance and attack, which is awesome. I haven't mentioned much about the electronics, but I have messed with them a little bit for harmonics. The high boost works really well. I'm flat right now, and as I was demonstrating before, these are really clear and piercing, but there's not a lot of noise when you boost, which is nice. Which is good. And the mid-range sculpting, for those that do slapping, is very effective. And so in terms of ease of changing, if you're going from fingerstyle to slapping, you don't want to mess with the amplifier. The setting on the bass for EQ mid-range sort of scoop is fantastic. You probably need about 30%, and you're there. And if you want more bass than the seismic amount that the bass comes with, then of course you can boost that too. So the EQ system is effective. I know for a fact that Patitucci has, considered and played around with that for years. Hence the changes that were implemented in the second version of the JP2 custom signature model bass. So that's it for my 1 year anniversary. I'll speak to you on the 2nd year anniversary. Hopefully there won't be too many more scratches, but hopefully that information is useful to you in some shape or form, or at least a little bit entertaining. Play lots of music, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.